My name is Sam Hudson. I'm a sophomore, and I'm a psychology major.
My name is Gavin Hudspeth. I am a freshman, and I am an industrial process engineering major.
My name is Cranston Jones, and I am a secondary education major, and I am a junior.
My name is Jeffrey Hall. I'm a computer science major, and I'm a freshman.
So in this presentation, we're going to be explaining the different perspectives of Christmas. There's the Christian perspective and the pagan side of it. And we'll be giving evidence for each side and presenting our argument for which we believe is the correct perspective.
What exactly is the history of Christmas? The history of Christmas is known to be the birth of Jesus Christ, the Mass of Christ, and the first Christmas was celebrated on December 25th, 336 AD.
That's the Christian perspective of Christmas. Now the pagan perspective of Christmas, there's a Scandinavian version in which they call it Yule, and during Yule is what they call the return of the sun. During this time, it started in the winter solstice and it would go through January. What they would do is fathers and sons from each city or village would go to the forest, chop down Yule logs, they would burn them, and whenever the logs were done burning is when Yule time would end. In Rome, there's a celebration called Saturnalia. It's a month-long celebration of the god of agriculture, Saturn. There's also Juvenalia, celebration on December 25th of Mithra, who they believed was the god of the sun, and he was a child. So that's where we would get the interpretation of baby Jesus and things like that.
So who is Jesus? This is the Christian perspective. Jesus is the Christian Messiah. He is a son of God, and he is a Virgin Mary, and also known as Yahweh. And he is also the founder of Christianity.
Now, for the pagan perspective of Jesus, he was primarily a religious leader of Christianity, as you probably know. And then but before he was a religious leader, he was a carpenter. And he did a lot of carpentry for most of his young adult life. And he was born in Nazareth, so he's known as a Nazarene. And of course, he profited Christianity.
How do we celebrate Christmas? There's two sides to every story. You got the Christian side and the pagan side. The Christians, they celebrate the birth of Christ and his life. And Christmas is known as Christmas because when the first Christmas is celebrated, it was to celebrate the Mass of Christ. Pretty catchy if you ask me. It's also where Christians will read the gospel and go to church, and they will also pray before their meals and pray just in general during the day. And many people will actually also display a nativity scene, maybe on the mantle or around the house somewhere. Now, for the pagan side, the pagans believe in gift giving and Saturnalia, as Sam mentioned before. They also believe in Christmas tree decorating being an essential piece of Christmas, and that can be attributed to the Germans back in, I believe it was the 17th century. Also, caroling has become very popular due to the pagan way of celebrating Christmas, and we all know what caroling is. And they also are credited with mistletoe and wreath hanging. And since Santa is typically attributed to the pagan Christmas, we could draw a connection between Satan trying to distract Christians with the phenomena of Santa.
Amen.
Discuss our different perspectives on whether we agree with the Christian side of what is Christmas or the pagan side of what is Christmas. After taking in the evidence that we have for both sides, I think all of us can agree that we see the benefits from each side. We see how we all celebrate in pagan ways by giving gifts, with Santa Claus and singing carols and things like that. But then we also we'll go to church or read the Bible or things like that. So that's how I feel about it, and Cranston's going to talk next.
So like he said, I agree with both sides. My family, we go to the church in the morning, just my family, just my mom, dad, and brother. And then we'll go to one grandparent's house for lunch. eat a nice lunch and open presents, and then we'll go to my other grandparents for dinner and do the same exact thing. So we celebrate the Christ, the birth of Christ, by going to church, and then we do the pagan style by giving presents and open presents and hanging out with the family.
So my family, we celebrate Christmas kind of the same way. My family will go to church, and we'll have a lunch and dinner with our extended family, like my grandparents, and we'll exchange gifts in the morning and stuff like that. Just the typical Christmas celebrations. But I would say that really, in my opinion, I don't see a wrong thing with giving gifts and stuff like that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I agree with both sides, I would say, as well, as I think most people do. So
for my family, the way we celebrate, we mainly just do the pagan side. We don't really do a lot of the religious. Personally, I'm not super religious. I know my family's more religious than I am, but we really just do the pagan side. Give presents, eat food with family, decorate the tree.